Well, a very wonderful good evening to all out there. I hope you're enjoying it. Not talking about the weather. So I'm Jack, as always. We're here with the Technocamps live stream. I'm joined by my co-host Dan. Say hello, Dan.
Good afternoon, everybody.
I said hello, not good afternoon.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Anyway, I thought we'd start off today by saying a little bit about what we're doing. Just launch straight into it. Do I have a schedule up? I don't have a schedule up. Oh well. Okay, let's cast our mind back to the 1970s. That's quite difficult because I wasn't born then. But in the 1970s, all the TV channels started with what we call an ident, or a little intro. In fact, what you're watching right now is the Technolive ident. You know, it's just a nice little thing, sometimes called a continuity, that just begins a segment on a TV channel. So you might say, and now we're going to start our cooking segment. Or, next on BBC Two, here we have such and such. And in the 70s, all these things were made with mechanical models. Actual little electronic models. So the BBC had a globe that span around and a camera pointed at it. So every time you switch from one program to another, they would point the camera at this little spinning globe. Until the 80s, where something magical happened. And that magical thing was computers. Which, they are pretty magic. So I would like to show you one of the first computer-generated idents ever made. It was made by Martin Lambie-Nairn. And, hang on, I need to do a little bit of fiddling to get this to work. So I need to turn the noise filter off, so you might hear our voices change a little bit. Okay, you might hear a little bit of hissing in the background. I'll stop that once we finish with this. I also need to switch over my keyboard. There we are. And if I then switch over here... Oh, I can actually hear something in the background. I hope you're not getting an echo.
No, you're I've just double checked the hissing, and it's okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so 1982, Channel 4 started. Before Channel 4, we only had 3 channels: BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV. And then Channel 4, and they started with a bang with this logo. Yeah, so they started with that. And it just blew the minds of pretty much everyone in the UK because, well, it's CGI. They've never seen anything like this before. And there's a couple of other variations. And yeah, pretty impressive.
It is pretty impressive, isn't it?
Bit of trivia for you, Dan. Do you know what the first TV show shown on Channel 4 was?
I don't, actually.
It was Countdown.
Oh, really?
Imagine launching a TV channel with Countdown. But Countdown's been going for ages.
Is it still going?
Still going.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah. But, so yeah, this was done with computers, and suddenly everything was done with computers. It just took off, and it was amazing and wild. And one of my favourite ones was for... ITV schools. So if you were at home, maybe you were a bit sick and you couldn't go into school, you could tune into the telly and you could watch all sorts of educational programming. And they started like this. Anyway, I could play all 28 minutes of that, and I will, because that's one of my favourite pieces of music. It's called The Journey. But I'm not going to go too far into that. Instead, what I'm going to do is going to pop back to this, reinstall that. 1 second. Da-da-da-da-da. Why can't computers be simple? There we are. So that hiss should now disappear. Then switch over my mouse and keyboard. Yeah, there we are. Oh, I'm back in control. Yeah, so we're going to be recreating that you just saw on the screen. This spinning ITV thing. And you might be able to use this for maybe you've got a YouTube channel and you want a little intro to that, or maybe just want to play around with some 3D stuff and some CG. So for that, we're going to be heading over to a website called 3js.org/editor. I'll pop that in chat if anyone wants it.
It is also in the description as well for anybody who...
Oh, yeah. Marvellous. So, yeah. Have you done much CG work before, Dan?
No, actually.
What about 3D stuff, then?
Not particularly, no.
Oh.
So this will be completely new for me too.
It's a nice little intro, then.
Mm.
So, yeah. For starters, you can click and drag around the world with your mouse, and this changes your view. And as you change your view, you can see there's this little thing down in the bottom right-hand corner with X, Y, and Z on it.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the different directions. So you don't have north, east, south, and west. You've got X, Z, and up or down is known as Y.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the X-axis, the Z-axis, and the Y-axis. Another thing is you can scroll in and out with a scroll wheel. That's if you've got a mouse. If you don't have a mouse, you've got a trackpad. I think it's moving 2 fingers on the trackpad. I'm not sure. Yeah,
yeah,
2 fingers
well.
up and down on the trackpad. And then finally, the right click moves you around entirely. So, yeah, little intro to how things move around. And, yeah, we're going to be building our spinning ITV thing on there. So, I believe, Dan, you've got a little bit of experience with Unity.
I have a little bit, yeah. A tiny bit.
What you might like to know is 3JS is a lot like Unity.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Except it's a lot simpler.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, it's not as... you've not got as much to worry about in 3JS.
Right, okay.
And one thing you don't really have to worry about in 3GS is complex models. Instead, we say everything's made out of primitives.
Okay.
And a primitive is just a simple shape. So
right, okay.
Let's start with the floor. We'll need a floor because if you look at the the thing, there's a little bit of reflection. So to have a reflection there along the floor, we need something to reflect off of.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to the add option. And I'm going to find a plane. This doesn't add an aeroplane in, it just adds a nice flat surface.
Oh, it is very similar to Unity, isn't it?
Yeah. All of these things tend to have the same kind of language or understanding. Now, depending on where your camera is pointed, you might see you've got this yellow square.
Yes.
I'm actually looking at it at the bottom. If I can see through it, it means I'm looking at it from the wrong side.
Okay.
So if I turn it around, you can see the other side is actually solid and not see-through.
Yes.
It's kind of like an optical illusion.
Oh, yeah, it is quite strange, isn't it?
Yeah. But, yeah, because we want to see the floor, we want the black side to be pointing upwards.
Okay.
And at the moment, it's on its side, which isn't very useful. Also, it's quite small. So, what I'm going to do is make sure I've got this object selected. And it's selected when it's got the yellow outline around it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go over to the panel on the right, which you can scroll up and down on. And in the Object tab, you've got all these settings. You've got position, rotation, scale, shadow, visible, so on. I have no idea what a frustum is. But you've got that option there. You can also give it a name. At the moment, it's called plane. I might as well leave it as that. But yeah, you can change the position. And this appears in the order of X, Y, Z. So if you look down at the bottom, you've got X, Y, Z in the little window down there.
Very similar to the coordinate system in Minecraft.
Exactly, yeah. So if you're familiar with Minecraft, you know that if you go left and right, that's X. And if you go forward and backward, that's Z. And if you go up and down, that's Y. Exactly as we've got here in 3JS. So we can change these numbers to move the position, but it's not the position I'm worried about. It's the rotation. I need to rotate it so my plane is, flat against the floor rather than standing up like a wall.
Yep.
So in the rotation section, I'm going to change one of these numbers, and I need to work out which one I want to change. Which, if I look here, the red line is red, which matches with the red X down here and a little... What is that? What were those toys? That they were silver and metal, and they looked a bit like that thing in the bottom right. I want to say jacks.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
I never knew how to play those.
No, neither did I.
I think you had these silver things, and you scatter them on the floor, and you roll the rubber ball at them.
Yes.
How's that fun?
I'm not sure.
I'm probably misunderstanding it.
Was the goal to hit as many as possible?
I don't know. It's
Yeah,
very weird. Either way, this red line shows that this is the x-axis. So if we want to rotate to make it flat, I could rotate it around the red line or the blue line. And the blue line's Z. I'm going to rotate it around the x-axis. So I'm going to look in the rotation section of the panel on the right. We've got 0, 0, 0. Always goes in the order of X, Y, Z. So if I want to rotate X, I need to rotate the first one here. And I can click and type a number. Or I can click and drag up or down. And so that's a good way of finding which way I want to go. And I want to make it flat that way. It looks like I'm going into minus numbers there. So that tells me I need to go, to make it completely flat, I need to think about my right angles. And remember, 90 degrees is the right angle, so I'm going to say minus 90. And that gives us a nice flat floor. Still a very tiny one, though. Yeah, I don't think that would be too useful in a house. So, what I need to do after making it flat, so minus 90 in the X rotation, is I need to make the scale bigger. And over here in the scale section, I've got 1, 1, 1 at the moment. So let's make that bigger. Let's make that 30. Oh, I've now made it very long in the X direction. Let's make it... Well, we don't need to... What happens if we change the middle one? Oh, that is working. Oh, have I got my orders wrong? Is it X, Z, Y?
It should be X, Y, Z. Surely.
Oh, I know what's happening. It's because we've rotated the plane.
Oh, of course.
The plane has changed which way it understands is up.
Hmm.
So if you look at the plane now and you look at the colors of the arrows, the direction of the arrows has changed. So Y is now horizontal, whereas it used to be up. Either way, I've gone for 30-30 to make it big and flat like a floor.
I just to let you know, I did just attempt to Google how to play jacks, and I'm afraid I'm left just as confused as what I was.
Is it
Uh,
is it quite complex?
I don't really. I'm struggling to understand the actual concept, but there was something about throwing things and throwing the jacks and then trying to catch them or something.
Hmm.
I'm not too sure.
If you
Uh,
play jacks, feel free to go to the Technicamp's website and let us know because we have no idea.
Absolutely none.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got our floor, and it's got a grid drawn in it at the moment. That grid is just there for you to see things better. And with this floor, it looks a little bit like a 80s music video, which is appropriate considering that we're kind of copying an 80s design. Um, you may be wondering, why is this floor black? Why is it? How can I make it a different color? Well, before we start changing the color, I've got a thing to tell you. This floor is not actually black. It's just in shadow. It doesn't look
Oh,
like it. But if we look around, we can see that actually, where's the sun? There's no sun in my 3D world.
hmm.
And one of the most important and difficult parts of making something CG look really good is getting the lighting right.
Hmm.
And at the moment, we don't have any lights here, so that's why everything is dark. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Add, and I'm going to scroll down to this sort of third section near the bottom, where we've got ambient light, directional light, hemisphere light, point light, and spotlight. And they're all different kinds. And the one that's most like the sun is the directional light. So that's going to be the most useful one for us. So I'm going to click Add Directional Light. And, oh, yeah, now we can see that our plane wasn't actually black. It was light grey.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we can see that we got a kind of a new object up here. Let me try and zoom in on it. It's hard to see with everything being white now. But this is our sun. And if I click it and I click the arrows next to it, I can move it around. Left and right, forward and backwards. And if you notice that if you move it further away from the plane, it gets darker and darker, like a sun setting.
Hmm.
So, it's nighttime, sun's rising, morning, so on. And when it's directly overhead, you've got noon, where the sun's brightest. So yeah, you can move that light around, and no matter where you move it, always point towards the middle, which is the best thing about it. It's why it's a directional light, because it has a direction, and that direction's always towards the middle. Yeah.
There we go.
But I thought we'd be better off starting with putting the light down, because in the next step where we're adding objects, if we don't have a light in the scene, we won't be able to see what the objects we're adding are.
Hmm.
So adding a light makes things easier for the next step. Anyway, I've been thinking all day, what do I do in terms of the letters? Now I could have ITV, but ITV's done, and I don't want to steal what they've done.
No.
And I thought, okay, what about something Technolive? I could have TECHNOLIVE. That's 10. 10 letters, but 10 letters won't fit. Oh, wrong one. Won't fit around in 4 directions, so I can't spread that over 4. And I thought, what about TCL? Trouble is, that's a television making company. So I don't want to make a logo for a television company. I want to make a logo for Technolive. And I wonder if you had
Yes.
any ideas, Dan.
Hmm.
Abbreviation or letters or anything.
We can't use TCL.
No. We could use. We could just use TC for techno camps.
Well, yeah, I was going to. I was either going to say we could say something like TCC for the Techno Club,
yeah.
so Techno Camps Club, but there again, that would just be TC anyway because we'd just be calling it Techno Club. So maybe, yeah, let's go with TC.
Yeah. So either TC or TL. Either way, we need to make the letters ourselves, which is a slight problem. Mainly because, well, there's no add text. Is there? No, that's Taurus and Tube, not text.
Yeah,
There's no
definitely
way
no
of
text.
nicely typing out a piece of text that we can add. So we're gonna have to make everything out of cubes. Before we do that, though, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add, and at the top of the add menu, there is this option for group. And the good thing about groups is we can group objects together. So if I have, let's do the T of TC. Let's say that's made out of two objects. If I want the same thing, if I want to kind of say that they are one thing together, it's best to put them in a group. And that just makes life much easier for us. So I've just done add group. And if we look over on the right, we've got a list of everything we've added. So we've got the plane, we've got the directional light. We've also got the group now. And this group's going to be my letters. So I might actually rename it letters. So in this scene panel on the right, I'm going to click group. I'm going to scroll down, and in the object tab, I've got the option to change the name, and at the moment it's called group. I'm going to delete that and change that to letters. Press enter.
Strangely, the name group is still as stuck on my screen despite me changing its name to letters.
Oh, yeah. I've just noticed that too. Same happened with me. Oh, it's up here it lists the type, but not the name.
Oh, I see. Right.
Anyway, it's not important. As long as you know that that one's going to be the letters. And yeah, we're going to put our letters in here, and that means I need to think about each letter and what each letter can be made out of. So if we take the T, for example, we can easily make that out of two cuboids. So one for the bar across the top of the T, and one for the bar coming down.
Yeah.
So to make a cuboid,
I'm going to be using a box.
yeah, because well, it's a cube shape, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to click add box, and we can see it's added a box in the middle of the floor. If you can't see it, or if you can only see the yellow outline, your light might be in the wrong location. So if the light is overhead, it might make your box invisible. So if I turn around, oh no, where's my box? But if you move the light around, you'll see that actually changes the different colors on the box, because it's changing what side of the box is lit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so first problem, it's buried in the ground, which is not going to be very useful for us. So I'm going to click the cube, and then over in the panel on the right, where it says position, I need to raise it up, and, well, up is Y, so I need to turn up the Y value. At the moment, it's 0. I'm going to try something like 0.5. There we are.
Oh, I can confirm that the name of my letters group has now changed to letters.
Oh Yeah, same's happened for me. I think it needs a little, it needs something else to update
Yeah,
to
first.
to
Yeah.
remember that. But yeah, my cube's now um you know a bit further up. Also means I need to kind of shape this so it looks more like a T. So if I'm doing the pole of the T, I need it to be longer. So I could type a different number in the scale values, or I could drag in the scale values in the object panel on the right. So I can make it longer like that, or type in a number. But for simplicity, we've also got this panel over here on the left. You've got the move control, the rotate control, and the scale control. And when you click these, it changes the arrows around the object.
Mm.
And that's a nice way of being able to edit something in place. So if I go to scale control, and then I look at my cube, and I look at the green box, scaling box at the top of it, and drag that, it gives me control right there and then. But notice when I'm scaling it, it's also extending down. So after I finish scaling, I'll have to move it up again. Anyway, I'm just going to click Control Z to get back to there. Remember, you can do edit, undo, and so on. But I'm going to make this a little bit thinner, actually. I'm going to make this half a unit thin. Half a unit deep. There, it's looking more letter-like now. And then I'm going to make this, let's say, 3 tall. That might be a bit too tall. 2 units tall? Yeah, that's it. And that means the position to get it on there is going to be around about 1. But yeah, you can play around with all of these things and experiment to your heart's content. Okay.
That's what I'm currently doing.
Hey. Of course, you could do your own letters as well. You could do all sorts of letters. You could do, yeah, as long as you can make something out of all these different shapes here, you can have fun with all sorts. But yeah, this is going to be the leg of my T. I now need to do the crossbar. So I could go add box, and that gives me a box that I can raise up and I can edit to make the top of the T. I'm feeling a bit lazy, actually. I'm going to copy this one, just because it's got all the right width and height as well. And I want my T to be quite uniform. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to go edit and clone. And it looks like nothing's happened, but what it's done is it's placed a new box in the same place as the old box. And if we look over on the right, we can see we've got 2 boxes now. So now I can edit that one. And I might rotate it around 90 degrees to give me the top bar. So 90. And let's have it at 2.25. There we are. So yeah, I can't really tell you what to do in this step. Just, have fun, see what objects you can make. I mean, you don't have to do letters like we're doing. You could have a spinning horse. I don't know. Maybe you've got a horse YouTube channel and you want to have a spinning horse. It's up to you. You can have whatever you like. Anything that your imagination is there for. If you've made 3D objects before, you can always go File and import them as well. So if you've done any 3D printing or 3D modeling, you can import other things that you've made. But yeah, I've got a T now.
So do I.
It's a bit plain though, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's just a plain white letter T.
So let's change that. Actually, before we do, we need to sort of get these to understand that they're part of the same letter? So remember how we made that group and we called that group letters? At the moment, these two boxes that we've created, they're not actually part of letters. We need to make these boxes, belong to letters. So over in this panel on the right, where it says scene, I'm going to pick one of the boxes. I'm going to click and drag it into letters. And it looks like it disappears, but letters gets a little plus icon. I can click that plus icon and it shows me everything that's inside letters. Let's do that for the second box as well. Pick it up, drop it into letters. And now letters represents this whole T. And when I select letters, we can see that it's got the whole thing. And I can drag the whole thing around at the same time rather than one at a time.
Oh, excellent.
Which makes life a lot easier.
Mm.
What we've done something there is, it's called parenting. We've told the computer that letters is the parent of box and box. And so if you tell the parent to do something, like move, it'll tell box and box, the children, to do something as well. But yeah, we've got our T. Let's give it some colour. Or some effects or something. In 3D and CG, objects are just the shapes. Objects need a material to be able to have some kind of appearance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on one of the boxes. So this middle one here. Let me zoom in nice and close on that because we'll be looking at it. I've clicked on that box, and now if I look down in the panel on the right, I can see I've got these options for object, so these tabs, for object, geometry, and material. Ooh. Dan, I don't suppose you can hear a phone going off, can you?
No.
Ooh. One of my neighbours seems to be making a call, and it's very loud.
No, I can't hear it.
Oh, all I can hear is the Nokia ringtone.
Oh gosh.
So how sorry if you can hear that, but I'm glad I don't think you can. Anyway. Yeah, we've got these tabs in the panel on the right. We've got object, geometry, and material. And material is the one we want to change. And material is all to do with the appearance of something. So you've got things like the colour, which makes sense. If I click that little box, I can change the colour. So I can make it red or orangey or any colour I like. I'm going to leave it at sort of white for now. Let's choose that one, yeah. I've also got some weird things like roughness and metalness and emissive. And scrolling down further, I've even got some even weirder stuff like blending, depth test, right test, all these things. And you can go mad experimenting with all the different things you can do with materials. So, before I go for the material that I want to get this nice rainbow metallic effect that the logo has, that we're trying to copy, before I go and set up the materials for that, I want to show off some other stuff. In this type window, in this type drop down, you can see that there are more than one materials. So you've got mesh basic material. That's just a solid colour, no matter what angle you look at, so it doesn't have any shadows on it. Depth material, which is... I haven't even worked out how that one works. Normal, which gives it this funky colour. But the colour changes as you move the camera around.
Oh yeah, so it does.
That one's pretty cool. It's all to do with...
That is really cool.
It's all to do with normal maps, which is, an advanced CG thing, so... Although I just don't really know how this material works, but it's cool and fun. You've got things like Lambert material, which it's not really showing off nicely here, but it kind of gives it a sheen. It kind of looks a little bit like hair almost. Yeah, let's change the color up a bit. And no, you can't really see the effect here, but it's definitely got an odd quality to it. Matte cap is just one solid color, no matter what angle you look at it from. Phong, Phong. I'm not sure what that one does, but you can change the shininess of it. You could do all sorts, changing these settings for each of them. Toon is how they make cartoons. Back in the day, cartoons used to be drawn by hand. Nowadays, they're all done in computer using the Toon material. It's something that we call cell shading, which is a cool effect. Mesh standard material is the one that we're going to be using, so I'll come back to that one. Mesh physical, not sure what that does. Raw shader turns it red.
Yes, it does. I noticed that. Yeah.
I don't know why it turns it red. I don't know anything about shader language. If you click program and vert, you can see all sorts of crazy stuff all to do with shaders. Shaders are absolutely mad, and they're one of the hardest things to program. And yeah, that's probably why it's red. Oh, and shadow material makes it completely invisible. But yeah, the one we want is mesh standard material. And the mesh standard material, which I've changed in type here, is nice because we can do lots of things that we can do in real life. Like glass, reflections, mirrors, or just things that have got a nice solid colour. And it's always got shadows as well, and shadows are good for making something look realistic. So, looking back at the logo, I want to get this kind of metallic effect. But I also want it to look a little bit silvery and a little bit rainbow and a little bit like a mirror. So let's do the mirror part of that first. I'm going to make sure I'm clicking on the object I want to change its material for. To get that silvery effect, I'm going to make it grey. So at the moment, the colour is white. If I click that little box there, it brings up the colour picker for my computer. If you're on a Windows computer, this will look different. I'm on a Mac, and that's why it looks a little bit like this. Let's pick a nice...
Thankfully, it's not too different.
Yeah. Let's pick a nice grey. There. Maybe a little bit later. Okay. So, I'm going to come back to roughness in a second, but the one we really want is metalness. And metalness is how much it looks like metal. So if I click that number and change that to 1, it looks a bit darker. Not really sure what it does. What happens when I change that to 5? No, the maximum is 1. It just goes straight back to 1. Okay, so something's happened. We have made it actually more shiny. It's just that shininess is hidden underneath the roughness. Now, the roughness is the measure of how much the light gets scattered when it hits the object. So a mirror has very little roughness. A mirror is very smooth. So to make something very shiny, we can turn the roughness down. But if we turn it down too far, it just goes completely black, which is not great. So we need to choose a value between 1 and 0. That means our thing is nice and shiny. I got good results around about 0.2. Okay. It still looks black, though.
I'm seeing that 0.4 is a good option.
It is. We might need to turn that down later. There's another reason I wanted to bring up why it looks black. And the reason is I was looking down on it, whereas our light is up there. So if I tilt the camera beneath the floor, I can see it does actually reflect the light. It's got a shininess to it.
Hmm.
And we can see the light looks a lot like the sun. So even though it was completely black from one angle, looking at it from another angle, we could start to see the color in there. You know, the
Oh,
different
yeah.
reflectionness of it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what happens when if we're looking down on it, it's black and it's not shiny at all. But if we're looking up at it, we do see some shininess. So how do I fix that? How do I make it so we get some shininess when we're looking down on it as well? Well, one way to do that is to add another light. So we'll need a light looking down on it, so we get the shininess when we're looking up at the object. But we'll also need a light underneath it, so we get the shininess when we're looking down on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Add. And this time, I'm not going to add a directional light. I'm going to add a point light. A point light is just a little dot in space which shines. Yeah, it's like you put a light bulb in the middle of space, but the light bulb's on. So I've done Add, Point Light, and it's given me this diamond in the floor. And I can move that around. As you can see, when I move it close to the T, it reflects as a ball of light. That's the reflection there. I can move it further away or closer to.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's all, you can move this point light around to wherever you think is best for it. I'm going to put it kind of half in the floor. Do I want it there? Of course, you will have to adjust this and change this depending on what you do with your model. And lighting is one of the trickiest parts. So it's all about experimenting with what works best. And one of the reasons it's so tricky is as soon as you move the camera around, it changes how it looks.
Mm.
So you can't really view your model without changing, you know, what it looks like. But yeah, we do get a little bit of shininess on that now. So yeah, we got a pretty nice effect there.
Yeah.
Only problem is, we need to do that for the top box as well. We've only got that for the bottom box.
Hmm.
And we need to do the exact same thing, otherwise they won't shine the same way. So I'm going to look at the bottom box and see that we've got metal at 1 and roughness at 20. But the colour, how am I going to get the same colour every time? I didn't think about that, so... Actually, to make life a lot easier for us, I'm going to change the colour to pure white, because that's a colour I can pick up every time. I didn't think about that. But yeah, everything has to be the same if you want it to look the same. So let's click the top box now and let's give it the same treatment. So color, white, roughness, 0.20, metalness, 1. And there we are. And when they look the same, they sort of carry on the same sheen, the same reflection. So if I change the roughness on that one to, 0, we can see that the reflections are not the same. Or if I change the roughness to 86, well, that's not really that useful to us. If you change the roughness, you can see it's actually changing the size of the reflection, which is kind of cool. But yeah, 0.2 I had to match the bond on the bottom. And there we are, we get our shiny tea. There's a problem with this. How do we get the rainbow effect? There's a couple of ways of solving this. We could put a massive rainbow in the world and it will reflect the rainbow. but that's quite tricky. So instead, I'm going to do a cheating way. I'm going to pick one of the boxes, and in the material panel, I'm going to scroll down, and here we can see a whole section on maps. Now, maps are all to do with giving things texture. So, map gives things an image to wear. Bump map tells an object how bumpy it is. Normal map makes it look like it's got more angles and faces and things than it actually has. Rough map makes something look rough. Metal. The one we're interested in is env map, which is short for environment map. And what this is the whatever gets reflected from the object. So if I click this box here, it asks me to upload an image. And if I upload an image, that will get reflected from the map. So here's an image I made earlier. Let's click the tick next to env map to turn that on. And we can see it starts reflecting a bit of color. If you wanted to make your own image, you can use Paint or a website like photop.com to make an image. I had that's how I made that one. Or you could just pick any image you like. And in fact, there's quite a lot of so if I go to my desktop and let's pick this old MakeCode Arcade save file, because that's an image. Because it reflects that somewhat. We get the colors in there. You get a kind of, it all depends on what image you choose, the effect that you get. And yeah, it looks kind of cool. So let's do the same for the top box. Click the top box. Scroll down to the maps section, and in env map, we click the empty box to choose a map. And then we click the tick to turn it on. And then it starts reflecting quite nicely. Looks quite shiny, actually.
It is, yeah. Mine is. I haven't actually got an image, but mine is particularly shiny currently.
Okay. I just noticed we're getting quite close to the end. I'm surprised I've
Oh gosh, yeah,
I've
so we
nattered
are.
on so much. So let's go through the next couple of sections. First things first is we need to add a camera. Now, at the moment, we've got one camera already. This is the camera that we, the developers, are looking through. Which is all right, but we actually need our own camera that we can sort of control better. Actually, knowing that we're pressed on time, I'm going to skip the camera bit and move straight on to getting this rotating. Yeah, I didn't really want to skip that bit. Yeah, I want my cup of tea. I want my dinner. It's because we spent too long talking about Jax, the old game.
I know. Jax, it has done it for us.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to skip making cameras. Instead, we'll get to making this rotate. Now, to make this rotate like we had in the example, it needs to kind of rotate around something. It needs something to rotate around. Because if it rotates on the spot, that won't look that good. If it just rotates like this... Oh, I've clicked the wrong thing. I've clicked the plane. Whoops. Yeah, if it rotates like that, that's a bit boring. What we're going to do instead is going to get it to rotate around an empty box. So I'm going to click Add, and I'm going to add a box. And this is going to stay in the middle. I don't need to give this box anything to do, really, except just stay there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make letters the group that we made, I'm going to make letters a child of box. When something's a child of something, it follows all the rotation and all the position and all that. So if I pick letters up and I drag it and I drop it in box, letters disappears, but if I click the plus, letters is now inside the box. Okay. Next thing, I need the letter T to be away from the box. At the moment, it's in the middle of the box, so it'll just spin on its point. I want letters to be away from it slightly. So I'm going to click letters. And make sure I'm only clicking letters. I'm not clicking box. I'm going to click letters. Go to object. And now I can type in a position that is away from the box. So I might make the position for that one 4, maybe. So yeah, now it's standing away from the box. Okay. Now, this is where parenting comes really into its own. If I go back and click on the box, and I rotate the box, so I'm going to go to the rotate tool, and I'm going to rotate the box. We can see as I rotate the box, it rotates the letters. It rotates the T. So we get that spinning effect that we're after.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, how do we get this box to rotate? Well, this is where we go step over into a little bit more of computer science. We can add a little bit of code that makes this box spin around. So, to get that, I'm going to click box in the top right here. And I'm going to scroll down, and making sure I'm in the object tab, I'm going to scroll to the bottom where we've got this sort of panel called script right at the bottom. And next to that, we've got new. And if I click new, it gives me a box with empty space. And that space is where the name of the script's going to be. And everything in computer science needs a name. I'm going to call this my spinning script with no space, because this is going to be a script that, makes the box spin. And once I've written spin a script, once I've given it a name, I can click edit, and we go into scripting mode. So yeah, we get into the interesting stuff. Do you recognise the language at all, Dan?
I was just waiting for it to load. However, given that we are using 3JS, I'm going to assume that we're using some JavaScript.
Yeah, it's JavaScript. JavaScript's really popular on the web, and JavaScript's become really powerful, even though it came out in, 1993?
Let me find out.
I can't remember. But yeah, JavaScript's become amazing in recent years.
It first appeared in 1995.
Oh, crumbs, I was 2 years out. But yeah, the first thing we see here in this spinning script that we've attached to box is we see function update event. What this does is basically says every time something happens, something happens. That's a terrible explanation, but it's the one. It's kind of true. Basically, what we need to make sure is that what we write goes in here, in between these two curly brackets. So I'm going to click to put my cursor between the two. I'm going to press enter a couple of times. And that gives me some space to write whatever I like. And what do I want to do in this? Well, I want to get the object to spin. So that means I need to change its rotation. I need to access the rotation of the box inside the box itself. So the word I'm going to use is this. Now, the keyword this refers to whatever this script is plugged into. At the moment, we're writing script inside the box object, and we can see at the top it says box/spinning script. So spinning script belongs to box. And this refers to whatever the script belongs to. So we're talking about the box. So this dot, because we're trying to access something about the box, we need a dot. After the dot, we need the keyword rotation. This is the rotation, it's the property of all the rotation of that box. But I need to find out what axis to rotate around. So if we look back in our model, we can see that Y is the one pointing up, so we need to rotate around the Y axis. This dot rotation dot Y. Okay, we've accessed the rotation of the cube. We now need to update that rotation. So what I could do is I could add 1 onto it every time. 1 degree of rotation. So every time the game plays, we add 1 degree, and we add 1 degree, and so on, and so on, and so on. So this dot rotation dot Y, well, we need to set it to be the rotation again, but +1. So this dot rotation dot Y equals this dot rotation dot Y again, but this time +1. So we're adding 1. We're resetting the rotation to be +1. Now, one last thing before we test this out. JavaScript needs a semicolon at the end of every statement. And what we've just written here, this is a statement. So we need to finish that off with a semicolon, otherwise it won't work. So this dot rotation dot Y equals this dot rotation dot Y +1. Okay, let's give this a play and see how that works. Okay, so I just click close on the script to bring us back here. Let's click play up in the top left. Oh dear.
Oh, that is a rapid spinning.
That's very fast spinning. Okay, so that may be a little bit too fast. Maybe adding on 1 degree every time isn't great.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, there's 2 things we can do to solve that. If I go down to spinning script and click edit, well, I could make this number smaller.
I've made the number smaller, but I've had to make it very small.
Yeah. There's another thing we can do though. At the moment, with the spinning, we're not actually doing it properly. If we're adding 1 onto the spin, that's a maths operation. And every computer does a certain number of maths operation per second. So if you've got a fast computer, that'll be spinning very fast. If you've got a slow computer or a potato, that'll be spinning very slow. So what we need to do is we need to somehow make it so that it's the same speed on every computer. So for that, we're going to use a little bit of trickery, which doesn't really make sense. Not to me, not to anyone. I had to do it for my university dissertation, and oh my word, it sent me mad. It was very tricky to understand. But what we need to do is we need to times this by a number. And it's a very special number. That number is event.delta.
Yeah, that rings a bell actually, because in Unity you multiply it with time.delta time.
Yeah. Event.delta, well, the delta is basically some number that is generated by the computer that says how fast it is. So let's do the times, which is an asterisk in computer science. So times event dot delta. Or as I've typed it, delat. That's wrong. It needs to be delta. Event dot delta. Okay. If we close this and play that now, we won't see much different. Let's go back to edit. And actually, let's change that number this time. Let's change the 1 to be 0.001, maybe?
I found 0.001 is one of the best, yeah.
Oh, okay, let's try that. 0.001. And there we are. Now, if we hadn't used event.delta, that wouldn't look very good. It would look very juddery and it wouldn't look very smooth. But because we use the event.delta, it looks very, very smooth. It's very swish.
Mm.
And yeah, we get kind of getting somewhere. I've noticed we've gone over time, actually. So I'll just show you the last thing. Well, it's two things, actually. One thing, we should probably hide this spinning cube. And if I go over to material... is it object, actually? Yeah, over in object, you could say, oh, well, we've got this option called visible. What happens if I turn that off? Oh, it hides the letters as well. Which isn't great. We need the letters. So visible doesn't work in this case. Instead, what we need to do is we need to give it an invisible material. So I'm going to go click on the material tab. And I'm going to scroll down all the way to the bottom where we've got this option here called transparent. If I tick that, nothing happens. That's because we need to change the opacity as well. Now, the opacity of something is how see-through it is. 1 is not see-through at all. 0 is completely invisible. So I've clicked transparent, I've turned transparent on. Now I'm going to change the opacity down to 0. And as you can see, as I change that, it slowly faded away. So we've now hidden the cube. And there we are. Other couple of things to change. We need the 4 letters rather than just T on its own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look in my scene browser at the top right. I'm going to find letters. And I'm going to go edit, clone. And that's giving me 2 of them now. And if we look back at the first letters, I set the distance of that to be 4 away from 0. So if we're going in the other direction, it needs to be -4. So -4. It also needs to still be a child of box. At the moment, it's not related to box in any way. So I'm going to pick letters up and I'm going to put it in box. It's like working for Amazon, putting letters in a box. Terrible joke, sorry. So we've got 2 T's now. If I want to carry on the jokes. 2 T's, no sugar.
Oh, no.
Sorry. If we've gone beyond time, it's getting to the point where my brain's gone fuzzy. Let's add the other T's that we need. So I'm going to clone again. So I've got this one. We need to change its position because at the moment, it's in place of one of the other T's. So let's change that number to a 0 to bring it to the middle. And let's move it over to the left by changing the X position to be 4. That's the right. Let's do -4. There we are. Also need to do the rotation because at the moment it's facing the wrong way. So rotation around the Y-axis by 90. Lovely. And let's edit, clone. Oh, I'm doing the wrong... Oh, that's gone weird. That was because I rotated it, wasn't it? Yeah, edit, clone, 4. It's over there. And yeah, let's add those two to box as well. So yeah, now when I click play, they spin around nicely, and they're all reflecty and colourful. So
Beautiful.
it kind of got something going on there. You could do much more with this. It doesn't have to be letters. You could add, I don't know, a small Fiat 500 spinning around. You could add, I don't know, a large cat flap made of banana skins. Whatever you wanted. But with a little bit of patience, a little bit of fun, you can get something that looks pretty good. I've got one earlier. I tried to do a copy of the Nintendo 64 logo, which is ends spinning in a circle. Again, I've just done this with T. I was meant to do TC, but we ran out of time for TC. This one is the same as we've done today, but with a couple of extras, like I've added some moody fog.
Oh, yeah.
I've also made the floor metallic and shiny as well. So you should be able to find out how to do those. But if I click play, we get something that looks a little bit like that. So yeah, you can get pretty good range of this, and it's good to experiment and learn. All of we've learnt today can be transferred into other 3D applications, so Unity, Unreal Engine, which is what Fortnite is made in, or if you wanted to do something a bit like my logo, well, our logo, sorry Dan, our logo that I'm showing off here, that I actually made using a piece of software called Blender, which uses much the same skills that we explored in 3JS. So, you know, this is the logo that's currently unrendered. It's got the spinning. And if I switched rendered mode on, you can see that's all done with just simple shapes, just spinning around a certain point in the same way. And that's how we made the Technocaps logo. So yeah, good fun, pretty cool. I hope you've enjoyed.
I certainly did.
Yeah, and yeah, hope you make some good stuff. We're going to... Do I have any admin to do today? Oh yeah, we've got the schedule.
We do, and I believe we also have the competition, don't we, Jack?
Oh yeah, the Home of the Future competition.
Yeah, Home of the Future.
Yeah, so let's start with the schedule. Next week, which is the 3rd of May. Can you believe it? We're in May already.
I know.
Well, that is next week. On Monday, I'll be carrying on with my chip music theme. Scrolling down in the video to find subscribe, notification bell, all that stuff. So if you want to watch us next week, because we do some Minecraft mods, that's the place to look. And on Wednesday, Dan is carrying on with his Python text adventure, going from room to room, I believe.
Yeah, we are going to set up some rooms hopefully on Wednesday, and then hopefully we will start the process either this week or next week of going from room to room.
Oh, marvellous. So you got that to look forward to there. We've also got going on the Home of the Future competition that you can sign up to now, and it's coming up, and it should be quite interesting. It's a game design competition all about making a game for the Energy Saving Trust, about saving energy. First workshop is coming up very soon on the 29th of April. If you're new to game design, there's a workshop that you can attend where we can go through how to make a game, basically. And the winner will receive a £100 all-for-one voucher. Oh, sorry, one-for-all voucher for themselves and £2,000 for their school. And if you want to sign up, the address is being sent in chat right now. Or at least it would if I hadn't clicked the wrong button. There we are. Lovely. So, in any case, I hope you've enjoyed. I'm going to leave you with a little extract from the fabulous ITV Schools intro ident. I've hoped you enjoyed. That's been me, and yeah, thank you, Dan,
Yep, thank you very much, Jack.
and have a good evening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everybody.